All right, so officially getting started now. Several students, so the thing that we're trying to do here is npm install -g @vue/CLI. If that command doesn't work for whatever reason, what you want to do is completely remove node, install nvm. So if you just look up nvm, the GitHub repo that comes up will have a script up at the top that coaches you through how to do that. You're going to run nvm install node, and then you'll npm install -g @vue CLI. And for this exercise, we're going to run Vue create pupfest. So I'm going to do that myself. Go over here. Vue create pupfest. So now it's asking to pick a preset. We're going to do this manually, or manually select features. If you Control C, that should kill the entire thing. Let me double check that. Yep. Cool. So Vue create pupfest, manually select features. And this is really cool. If you've used Create React app before, like this is what you've been missing. You get a lot more options for how we set this up. So the way that this works is you can use J or K to go up or down, or the arrows. And then if you hit the space bar, we can add router, we can add Vuex, we can add the CSS preprocessors, we can add testing libraries, we do all kinds of cool stuff. You just get that for free. For us, it doesn't matter a ton other than Babel. We want to make sure we have that. And the CSS preprocessors are pretty nice too. All right, so history mode for router, yes. And also, if you haven't picked up on this, anytime that you get like a yes, y/n, and one of them is a capital letter, that's a default. So if you just hit enter, that's the one that it's going to do. The default for this one is fine. Default for this one is fine. Default for this one is fine. And then why not? Dedicated config files. So we can just enter through the rest of that. And this is a good example of like, all right, the N is capital, so if I just hit enter, it's not going to save that as a preset, which is fine.
So just hit enter all the way through to the...
Indeed.
Mine said use yarn or use npm.
Use npm.
And then I can name it whatever I want if I want to save the preset for the future.
Correct.
Says pick the package code. So I'm doing that.
Use npm if it asks you to. All right, rockin'. You got it?
Still going.
Okay. As long as it's still cranking. So while that's going, let's get a mental model for how this is going to work. An HTTP request comes in to a router. The router's job is to match an HTTP request with a view. So it goes, oh, you're looking for this URL. The thing that handles that URL is this view. The one that handles that URL is this view. And then within those views, we make components. And those components can have components. And those components might even be reused by other views. Without getting into like stores and services and lots of other things, this is the shape of basically every single Vue app. Request comes into router, figures out which view goes with that, and then the views render component trees. All right, Kyle, nice theory. Let's CD into PupFest, and then to run the app, we're going to run npm run serve. And what you should see, yours might not look exactly like mine, is something kind of like that.
Why is that
8080 is a way more sane port than 3000, which is like what everything else defaults to. Reason why is that actual real life web traffic comes in on port 80. And so for like fakey local made up stuff, 8080 makes enough sense. All right, so are we all seeing something like this? Sick. Let's figure out how we got here. I'll take a little tour. Much simpler directory structure than, say, Rails. We have a public folder that has the actual HTML file that's going to get served up by this app. It's a single page app, so we have a single page. Everything that goes into making the app is in the source directory. All of our components, all of our views, our router, store, main.js, which is just like index.js and Vue, and our top level component. So let's see if we can trace along this. You make a HTTP request to the index. That's just 8081, no other path on it. If you look inside the router, this is saying when the path is this, I want you to render the home view. And the home view comes from up here. All right, well, what's the home view? If we go into the views folder, look at that. That's our home view. It has this component in it. Neat. What's in that component? All the stuff we're seeing on the page. Okay, one more anatomy lesson, and then we'll actually start making some stuff. In a Vue file, we have the template. We have a script. And we have a style. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all in one place. So I'm looking at this hello world component. There's the HTML. This is the JavaScript. This is the style. Pretty fucking cool. So, all right, let's start customizing some stuff. So I'd like you to follow along with this. We're going to go into this index.js file. We're going to delete that home import.
The file is in the router?
Correct. We're going to delete all the routes. And that's good for the router. Then we're going to delete source components hello world, blow it out. We're going to do the same thing with the about and the home views. Cool. Let's see if everything's all cleaned up.
What are we removing again?
We are removing, in the router index, we're getting rid of those views and we're deleting everything out of routes. So we just have an empty array. They're going to get rid of everything in the views folder and everything in the components folder. We're starting fresh. And if we did that right, you should see something kind of like this rather than an error. Then the last thing that we're going to delete is I want you to go into the app.vue file. That's in the root of the source directory. And we're going to delete everything inside of app and all these styles. And if you did that right, we should see, again, no error, but also nothing on the page.
Everything inside.
So your app.vue file should look like this.
So the files that we needed to remove in the terminal
Mhm.
was view, everything within the view file,
Everything within the views folder.
views folder.
So we have an empty views folder there, an empty components folder there.
What did we need to delete from the index.js and wrote on the top? Was it home, import home?
It was import home, and if about was in there, so it was.
I deleted the
Perfect.
home and then the row.
Yep, got it. So you'll have done this correctly if you can pull up that page and not see anything,
Yeah, it's blank.
if it's blank. All right, now let's start building. What do I call this? PupFest. So let's make an H1 tag in there and put PupFest in it. Now, if we did it right, we'll see it on the screen.
Oh, failed to compile. Which one doesn't have? Oh, that's because I.
Because you didn't close it. This is actually a really nice thing about this, is it like barks at you and warns you if your HTML isn't well formed, that kind of thing.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
I like that it's like on the page.
Yeah.
You don't have to go.
You have to digging around in the console. It's fucking sweet. All right, so let's build something. We're gonna build. We'll say PupFest, and we're gonna just have a list of buddies. And each one will have a picture, a name, and a description. Cool. So this is my recommended way of doing basically any component-based architecture. We're going to start by just hard coding this. So we'll start with a UL we'll give it a class of dogs. We're going to make an li. Inside of that, you're going to make a div, and you're going to give it a class of dog-card. And then the things we need in there are a name, an image. Let's do the image first. Image. H2. And a paragraph with a real good buddy. And for the image source, just look up cute dog, find your favorite one, go to view image, and just yank the URL. All right, and then once you have a dog card, take that li, let's make a couple of them. They can all be the same, it's fine. So you should see something kind of like that. All right, give me a thumbs up when you're ready to move on. All right, let's keep going. Somebody found a dog they like. All right, give me a thumbs up if your screen looks like this. All right, let's excavate. Three is fine.
Why did it go back to this?
Yeah. Let me see your.
The pictures are very good. Mostly. I don't know why I have all of that, because it doesn't exist like that.
Go.
That's weird.
Okay, back to your browser. Do a refresh. There we go. Okay, beautiful. And you all right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Awesome. Tatiana, how you doing?
I think I'm going to do
Okay.
here.
Yes. And the UL should be outside the LIs. Yep. And then you need to open one up above the LI. Yeah, this UL class dogs, it needs to be above. Yeah.
It's the same.
That div needs to be outside of that LI. and the UL. Yeah. Okay, back over here. All right, this will help. Let's fix the indentation.
Yeah.
So get a P in. Yep. Correct. Yep. And then that LI, let's get rid of the white space. Yeah. Perfect. One more. Yep. Good. 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 That's why. That div needs to close.
And another div.
This div you open here. Good. And get the UL in. Good. All right, so make a couple copies of that LI. All right, so onward. Let's style this a little bit, teeny bit. So we're gonna say down here in this style area, we're gonna do dot dog card and open up some braces. And ooh. All right, check this out. This H2 and this P, I'm gonna wrap those in sections. So let's modify it to look like that. Nice. All right, and then in dog card, we're gonna set display to flex. And we're gonna set flex dash flow to row space no wrap, like that. And so it should end up with something that kind of looks like that. Now, are you ready to lose your minds? Check this out. You can nest selectors in Sass like that. So we can target a section that's inside of a dog card. And we can do something like padding 2 rems. And that's an improvement. You could also say something like margin bottom 1 rem. Now they got a little bit of space. Cool. And on that UL, we're going to do this outside of the dog card. I'm going to say list dash style none. That'll make those bullets go away. And I'm also going to say a dog card has a max width of 40 rems. Nope, 50 rems. Good. Maybe set a max width on the image of 200 pixels. Nope. 400 pixels. And then I'm also going to say box shadow. We'll do 2 pix, 0, HSL, 0%, and then something kind of light, 70%. Nope. I'm going to say 0, 2 pixels, maybe 1 pixel. Let's see. That's a little bit better. All right, and there's our dog card. So this doesn't matter too much if you have all this. The thing I want to illustrate is that the styles for something go along with the template and the file and all that. It's all in one place, which is fucking cool. And we can do really neat Sass things by just setting lang equal to SCSS. So we can do stuff like nest selectors. That's also where those like CSS variables and mix-ins and all that cool stuff comes from. Hey, looking good. Okay. Now, next step. We are going to extract out the data from this template. And this is where we start getting kind of cool with some. So we have this template here, we have the style here. Now let's add a script in between those. That's our anatomy of a Vue component. Templates, scripts, styles. Let's add the script in. And what every Vue component is expecting is export default and then an object. If you do that, that is a baseline, nothing special Vue component. Now, this is an object. We're going to get a key of data, and it's a function. If you haven't seen this function syntax before, it's called method shorthand. It is exactly the same as writing this, but people will make fun of you if you write it like that, so write it like this.
Is there any difference with how you set it up, and because all the Vue docs set it up with like new Vue or Vue doc component?
So the reason why is because they think it's helpful to like, hey, we're not going to push Vue CLI on you. Fuck that. I'm pushing Vue CLI on you. Because the whole like .vue thing and single file components and this folder structure, it is the correct way to make a Vue app. For some reason, React convinced everybody that like having opinions about how this stuff should be structured like is bad for some reason. And so yeah, they have you doing it with just vanilla JavaScript and everything. No sane person would make a Vue app that way.
Yeah, every video I see is this way, but all their docs are the opposite way. So
Wait, hey, we're not being pushy. We're not going to make you use our whole tool set that saves you all this time. So that's why that's happening. All right. Then we're going to return an object. And we are going to, all the data from these, we're trying to rip that data out and put it in this dogs array of objects. So that should look something like name, spud, description, a real good buddy, image, URL, whatever this is. So then let's make a couple of those. We're not actually doing anything with these yet, so it shouldn't break. It should look exactly the same. But if you got the syntax on this right, it should also not throw an error. Data is a function that returns an object. It has a key of dogs, which is the value is an array of these objects. if you've done any React stuff before, data is state. It's the exact same thing. Beautiful. You got the data? Excellent. Data. Okay, let me see your data. Excellent. Very nice. So now what we're going to do is instead of hard coding all these dog cards, we're going to loop through this array and use that to make the dog cards. So inside, let's do this above this li here. Actually, shit, let's just reuse this first one. We're going to write inside of the li as an attribute, v-4 equals dog in dogs. And what that's going to do is loop through dogs. Every individual one is going to be available inside of this as dog. And it's going to make a new li for all of them. It is. So now, to use this, if I want to swap out this name here, I take out spud and do double braces dog.name. Inside of this p tag, inside of that p tag, double braces dog.description. I do it a little bit different on the image. The SRC gets a colon in front of it. I delete everything in there. No curly braces, dog.image URL. We actually do the same thing with alt. Do colon alt and make the alt text for that dog.name. And if we did that right, we can get rid of all of that other hard-coded stuff and just have that, and we get an error. Elements iteration expect to have a, oh, that's throwing an error now? Come on, man. All right, so in this li, we also need key equals, shoot. All right, let's go back down to data. We're going to add ID to each one of these, each one of those objects, and they just need to be different numbers. So change your data to look like that. And then back up in the li, key is going to be dog.id. Happy now? There we go. Cool. Same thing we had before. This is red-green refactor, by the way. We had no dogs. We got the dogs working, hell or high water. We just hard-coded everything. And now we're making the code more dynamic, more real, better code. But keeping something that already works working is so much easier than going from not working to working. Okay. So, last thing we're going to do. This dog card, why this seems like this might be a good candidate to be a component. So what we're going to do is we're going to touch src components, and we'll call this dogcard.view. Have to do .view. If you do .js, it's going to get real mad at you, and you will make that mistake half a dozen times, probably the next week. But the component file is .view.
We don't need that, right?
What was that?
We don't need Ranger.
No. Ranger is my little file explorer thing. Anytime you see me doing that, that's Ranger.
Well, yeah, because I'm trying to create it, why would there be file? It's like, no such file, I'm like, yeah, because it's.
Because you spelled components wrong.
Ah.
It gets mad at you if you're trying to put something into a directory that doesn't exist yet.
I love how easy it is to map through that data. That is amazing.
Isn't that wild?
So much easier.
I know. So, all right, we've made the dog card component. Now we're going to go into it. Empty file, nothing up this sleeve, nothing up this sleeve. We'll make a template. We'll make a script. We'll make a style. We'll set the style lang equals SCSS, and we have a blank view component. We are going to copy everything from dog card, including that div. We're going to take it out of app.view and put it into the template for dog card. So delete, paste. So at this point, the app should be breaking. Oop. Yep. All right. Now, in the script tag, above the export, still below the script tag, we're going to import that component. We're going to do import dog card from, and then in quotes, the @components/dog card. That imports the component. The @symbol, this is special Vue CLI magic. That's not regular JavaScript. Is a shortcut for the source directory.
Mine broke for some reason when I did that. Is it supposed to be broken or?
No, that shouldn't break.
Did I?
Oh, it's because you're not using it yet.
Oh,
That's
okay.
I was
So it
just
is
saying.
technically
Right.
supposed to be broken.
Man, like, so that is like incorrect, but Vue didn't used to break on that stuff. It used to just throw a warning. Interesting. Okay, so to use that, above data, still in this export default object that we're doing, we're going to make a key called components. That's an object. And we're going to put dog card in there. Like that. What this does is it makes that dog card component available inside the app, and inside of that template. It's not necessarily. I get really into trailing commas because, all right, there's one thing in there. All right, well, now I'd add another one. Except I also need to add it to that. And then as soon as I delete one of these, I find it easier to keep that consistent. So that, like, for example, if I'm reordering these and that one doesn't have a comma at the end, I go, actually, I want that one to be up here. Womp womp, now it's invalid syntax. So, slight time saver. You can't do that in every language, but you can do it in
Well,
JavaScript.
it's amazing how much time you can waste forgetting that you.
Yes. Fact. Okay, so that is available in the template now. So how about we use it? Just like it were an HTML element, we're going to put dog card there. Sick. Now, the thing that we need to do is get this dog data into dog card. So what we'll do is say name. Well, actually, let's just do this. Dog with a colon in front of it. Dog is dog. So I want to take this dog that I'm looping through, and I want to pass it in to this. Colon in front, dog equals this dog. Now I need to tell the dog card that I'm looking for that. So I'm going to go over to the dog card and export default an object. Well, this one, I want to have a key called props. Props will be an object. And this is saying, cool, what are you giving me? Well, I'm giving you something called dog, and you should know that it's an object. If you pass me a string, if you pass me an array, if you pass me a function, I'm going to barf. Should be an object. All right. And if I did that right, we're back in business.
Yeah, I did not do that right.
All right, so we imported the component. We made it available in the template. Come on. There we go. We used it in the template with a colon. We said, hey, I'm going to give you that thing that you call a dog. I'm going to give you the thing that I call a dog. We told the dog card that we were expecting that as a prop and that it should be an object. And then we're just using it in the template.
That's what it was before and still didn't.
Let's take a peek. You didn't close the quote. There you go. Need a comma. So, yeah. Okay, back to your dog card. Yeah, you're doing your script inside the template. It should be after it. Same thing with styles. Yeah. Keep going. There. All right. Do a refresh. Okay, back to your. Oh, take pug out of that. Okay, now back to this dog card. Open that up. Every template has to have exactly one element at the top. So, yep, and then just move everything inside of that. Okay, back to. All right. And is it image URL? Yeah, so you need the underscore URL in that also, the image. Cool, grass. All right, so let's review. Request comes into the router. Router says, cool, what view is handling this? We put everything inside of app.view, which is like the view. Everything renders inside of that. So if you think of a header that shows up on every page, a footer that shows up on every page, you put that in the app.view because you can render views inside of each other. That's a more advanced topic we'll talk about another day. But we matched a view, and then we rendered a component inside of that. Now if I want to change these, that's Spud, this is Mackenzie, this is Rocket. You change the data there, And then we've got different dogs. The template stays the same though. We loop through all the dogs we have, we make a component for each one of them, we give them some data, we render that data. Oh, and also we can go down to this style, this dog card style that we had. You can yank it out of there, move it into there. And now wherever I want to use that dog card, easy peasy. Neat, that's your intro to Vue. What questions do you have?
Back to the dog card view.
Nobody has any questions? I just explained it perfectly. I am good.
I feel like we have other questions, but not that
Not really a question so much as
Okay.
a comment.
Yeah.
Does it, I guess, does doing it this way with like the components make it seem more organized when you're creating stuff?
Yeah, that's part of it. So if I look at the Develop Denver's a Vue app, and if I look at that, see stuff like this. That's pure organization. Like when I go to the site. So they have these different like parts of that main page. And all of those. Feature benefits, schedule download, ticket details. So I can organize a little bit. Also, I can do things like, let's see. I can do something like this, where I have a component called edit talk that gets reused all over the app. But I can reuse that and pass different data into it each time. Or this countdown is all over the place. The countdown thing is like, it counts down to the next Develop Denver. So anything I want to reuse also is now kind of all in one place. And those components look like, some of them are teeny tiny, like, what's a really small one? This one. This little spinning logo up here, that's a component. And that's all that's in it, not much. We also have components that like are mostly responsible for organizing other components. Like, saw one a second ago. This one. This is the banner at the top of the page. All it does is like, all right, well, it's a countdown and a call to registration. And then plenty of stuff in between.
I did another question.
Yeah.
So you've got the index.html in the public file, but we were using the app.vue.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly would we then using the index.html versus the app.vue?
Great question. Nothing. You're not supposed to touch those.
Okay.
What happens? The only thing that's in here is this div with the ID of app. And then this is the bridge to kind of what Kat was talking about. If you look over in main.js, this is saying find the element with the ID of app and then make a new Vue component in it.
Sort of change that.
Exactly. But that single page, the entire app gets mounted on that.
And then what would you actually store within the views? Is that different stuff that you put within the app.vue or?
So there's a lot more art than science to that, but my rules, which I did a talk on once upon a time. Slides.com. Called App Architecture with Vue. I have a.
What was that picture?
That was from my rock and roll days.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's teeny tiny, but this is the architecture pattern that I use, and it has rules with what is allowed to access which kind of data when, and I have rules about views being allowed to do that and components not being allowed to do that, except in the case of services, and this is the kind of stuff that, like, a few years into your career, that'll make a lot more sense. But like the short answer is a view is something that's that has a route that goes with it. You can't route to a component, you can route to a view. And then you try to defer as much stuff out of the view down into the components. You try to keep these as simple as possible. All they do is data and rendering components. And then all the cool action in your app, do that with components. Cool. Anything else? Awesome. Thank you.